Good evening, welcome to ITV News. This is Wednesday's calendar with Christine Talbot and David Hurst.
And here are tonight's main stories. First this evening, it was dubbed Wild Wednesday by some in retail, the first day of trading for non-essential shops as they were allowed to reopen following the end of the second national lockdown at midnight.
Many stores in Yorkshire and Lincolnshire opened their doors early as they started their bid to make up for lost trade over the last month. Our reporter Emma Wilkinson was in Lincoln as the shutters went up. Well, as Emma mentioned there, it's been a turbulent few days for the high street, with big brands like Topshop and Debenhams falling victim to the pandemic. Many other businesses will be wondering whether the 3 weeks of trading before Christmas will be enough to safeguard their futures. There, bars and restaurants have to stay closed except for takeaway services. Well, our reporter Jonathan Brown. Well, next this evening, the first COVID-19 vaccine has been approved by regulators for use in the UK. Made by Pfizer and BioNTech, it's been found to be 95% effective. A vaccination programme could start from next week. Here's what we know about how the vaccine will work. All this information can get quite confusing, so if you want to look at more about the vaccine and also want to double check which tier you're in and what it... Now, the scale of death from the pandemic that we've seen has been unprecedented. In Yorkshire and northern Lincolnshire alone, 6,711 people have died due to COVID-19. That's up to the 13th of November. Things like long entrance queues, closure of toilets and rigid one-way systems can all cause problems. Well, charities are now urging businesses and councils to open a wider dialogue with disabled customers to ensure their measures are disability friendly. Nick Smith reports. Well, let's move on to sport now. And in football, there was plenty to celebrate for most of our region's teams last night. Barnsley and Lincoln both came from behind in their games to pick up all 3 points. Well, time for the weather now. John's here.
It's the dreaded S word. I think over the...
Too early to ask? Is it ever too early to ask? Is it going to
happen there?
Very good. Well, finally tonight, after a very difficult year so far, the news today about a vaccine and the shops reopening seems to have brought some hope of normality returning.
So with the second lockdown over, we joined the festive folk in Barnsley Town Centre to see if at last it is starting to feel a lot more like Christmas.
Yeah, you see, you can always rely on the people of Barnsley to get into the festive
I think
spirit,
everyone is feeling a little bit more positive.
I think they are, yeah.
It's been a good day. Here's John.
John, thank you. And that's it from us. Our next update is at 11 o'clock.
The national and international stories are next with Mary Nightingale.
But for now, from the team here on Calendar, thanks very much indeed for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good evening, welcome to ITV News. This is Wednesday's Calendar with David Hurst and Christine Talbot.
And here are tonight's main stories. First tonight to Wild Wednesday, as it was dubbed by some in retail. As the national lockdown ended at midnight, non-essential shops across Yorkshire were allowed to reopen their doors to customers under the tier system.
For many, it's about making up for the loss of trade in the past month and capitalising on people doing their Christmas shopping. But after a turbulent week for the high street following the demise of Arcadia and Debenhams, will it be enough? Katie, live in Leeds, thank you. Well, away from the shops in Tier 2, which only includes York and North Yorkshire in our part of the world, hospitality has been allowed to reopen today as long as they serve substantial meals.
Now, the scale of death we've seen during the pandemic has been unprecedented in Yorkshire and northern Lincolnshire. 6,711 people have died due to COVID-19. That's up to the 13th of November.
Well, because of the loss of life, families and friends have all been forced into mourning. Well, some without having the chance to say goodbye. Well, to ease the burden, a national campaign is urging people to share their loss. Nithya Rajan has more. Well, now, as we've heard already, with non-essential retail reopening across Yorkshire today, it's claimed that hundreds of thousands of people with disabilities are put off visiting shops and public spaces because of measures introduced to make them COVID secure. Things like long entrance queues, closure of toilets and rigid one-way systems can all cause problems. Thanks very much, Mary. Some sport now, and in football, Barnsley came from behind to pick up all 3 points last night as they continue to climb up the championship table.
Scunthorpe United were also on top form as they hit 5 past Harrogate. The last time they were that prolific was over 2 years ago. Arif Ahmed rounds up all of last night's action. Arif, thank you. John's here now with the weather.
Well,
no?
Well, if you're really stuck, if you're really...
Oh,
yes, it is.
Thanks so much, John. We'll see you later.
Thanks very much, John. Finally, tonight, after a bumpy few weeks, the news today about a vaccine and the shops reopening seems to have brought a bit of normality.
Fingers crossed. Well, high streets across our region hope shoppers will now return in force. With lockdown over, though, we join the festive folk of Barnsley Town Centre to see if it is at last starting to feel like Christmas.
You can feel the spirits lifting.
I think it's been a good day today. Here's John. John, thanks very much. That's just about it from us. Our next update is tonight at 11 o'clock.
The national and international stories are next with Mary Nightingale.
But for now, from all the team on Calendar, thanks very much for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, GPs in our region say they are ready to start giving out the new COVID vaccine as soon as it's delivered. Well, it was a busy night of football tonight. Let's start with the Championship. Sheffield Wednesday came up. That's the news and sport. Now here's John with the weather. From me for now. Our next bulletin is tomorrow. That's just after 6 in Good Morning Britain. But from all of us here on the Lates team, bye-bye for now.